Love is not merely an emotion. It is a profound transformation, a force that reshapes who we are and how we move through the world. When a man gives you his heart truly and without reservation, it is not just an act of affection. It is a silent acknowledgement that you have become part of the foundation upon which his life is built. But how do you know when this has happened? How do you recognize the signs that you are not just another passing presence, but someone who has reached into the depths of his soul? A man does not reveal his heart easily. It is guarded by years of self-preservation, by a world that tells him to be strong, composed, impenetrable. And yet, love dismantles even the strongest walls. If you look closely, the signs are there. Small, undeniable gestures that reveal the truth. So ask yourself, have you truly captured his heart, or are you just standing at the gates, waiting to be let in? When a man has truly given you his heart, you won't have to question where you stand in his life. He will make it evident, not necessarily through grand gestures, but through consistent, quiet devotion. People reveal what they value by what they prioritize. A man in love will naturally prioritize you, not because he feels obligated, but because it's an instinctive response to genuine affection. Now, this isn't about dropping everything at a moment's notice or becoming consumed by a relationship to the point of losing oneself. It's about presence, effort, and the choices he makes every day. If a man truly values you, he will carve out time for you, even in the midst of a busy schedule. He will make decisions that consider your well-being, and most importantly, he will take your emotions seriously, never dismissing them as trivial or inconvenient. This is where people often misinterpret love. Many assume love is simply a feeling, an emotional high that sweeps in like a storm and disappears just as quickly. But love is discipline, love is commitment. Love is choosing day after day to prioritize the well-being of another person, even when it's not convenient. And when a man has truly given you his heart, his choices will reflect that truth. You'll notice it in how he responds to your needs, even the unspoken ones. If you're struggling, he won't turn away. If you need reassurance, he will offer it freely. And if you ever wonder whether he cares, you'll find the answer not in his words, but in the simple, unwavering consistency of his actions. At the core of this is a profound reality. A man will always make time for what he values. If you are important to him, he will ensure that his actions reflect that importance. And if he doesn't, then no amount of waiting, hoping, or rationalizing will change the truth. The deepest love isn't found in occasional grand gestures, but in the quiet, unwavering commitment of someone who chooses you over and over again. When a man has truly given you his heart, one of the most telling signs is that he allows himself to be vulnerable with you. This is no small thing. Men are not naturally inclined to expose their emotional world. Society conditions them to be strong, to withhold, to present an image of unwavering control. And yet, when a man loves, when he deeply trusts, he will set aside that armor, not for everyone, but for the one who has captured his heart. This is because love, real love, is built on the foundation of emotional safety. If a man is willing to share his fears, his insecurities, and the weight he carries, it means he sees you as someone who won't use those vulnerabilities against him. It means he believes you are safe. And safety for a man is not about physical security. It's about the ability to be seen fully without fear of rejection or ridicule. Pay attention to the way he communicates. Does he let you into his thoughts, or does he keep everything locked away? Does he share his dreams, his past, his struggles, or does he put up walls? A man who trusts you with his emotions is a man who has given you something incredibly rare. Because for him, that openness is not a default state, it is earned. But here's the crucial part. If he allows himself to be vulnerable, how you respond will determine whether that trust deepens or disappears. If you dismiss his struggles, if you treat his emotions as insignificant, he will retreat. He will close off, and over time you will lose access to that depth of connection. But if you meet his openness with understanding, if you show him that his emotions have a place with you, he will only draw closer. The truth is, love requires courage. It requires a willingness to be seen as you truly are. And when a man is willing to take that risk with you, it is not weakness. It is proof that you matter to him in a way that defies mere attraction or fleeting affection. It is the mark of something far deeper. One of the clearest signs that you have captured a man's heart is his willingness to make sacrifices for you, not out of obligation, but because he genuinely wants to. Love in its truest form is not just a feeling. It is an act of responsibility, a reorientation of priorities, a restructuring of one's life to include another person in a meaningful way. When a man loves deeply, his own interests no longer exist in isolation. Your well-being becomes an extension of his own. This doesn't mean grand, dramatic gestures. Love is not a spectacle. It reveals itself in the small, consistent ways he puts you first. Whether that means adjusting his schedule to spend time with you, supporting your ambitions even when they inconvenience him, or simply being present when you need him most. A man in love does not calculate the cost of these choices. He does not weigh whether the effort is worth it because in his mind, you are already worth everything. But there's something deeper at play here. Sacrifice is not just about giving, it is about meaning. When a man willingly sacrifices for you, he is saying in the most profound way possible that your happiness and your struggles matter to him as much as his own. He is saying that your presence in his life is not just valuable, it is essential. Yet, sacrifice must be met with gratitude, not expectation. The moment a man feels that his efforts are taken for granted, that what he gives is not appreciated, he will withdraw. Not because he is keeping score, but because love must be nurtured, not assumed. So, if a man chooses to sacrifice for you, cherish it. Recognize it for what it is, a silent declaration that you are irreplaceable. Love is not measured by words alone, but by actions that say, time and time again, you matter. One of the most revealing signs that you have captured a man's heart is the way he listens to you. Not just hearing your words, but truly absorbing their meaning. Listening in its deepest sense is an act of devotion. It is not passive. It is not something done absent-mindedly while waiting for the next opportunity to speak. A man who loves you listens with intent because he values not just what you say, but who you are. Pay attention to this because it speaks volumes. In a world where most conversations are surface level, where people engage just enough to formulate a response, genuine listening is rare. When a man listens to you, truly listens, when he remembers the small details, when he follows up on things you barely recall mentioning, when he takes your words seriously, it is because he sees you as important. He wants to understand you, not just on a logical level, but emotionally, intellectually, and even spiritually. And this goes beyond words. A man who listens to you also pays attention to what you don't say. He notices when your energy shifts, when your laughter is quieter than usual, when your words say, I'm fine, but your eyes say something else entirely. He cares enough to read between the lines, to recognize the weight you carry even when you don't verbalize it. That is love. Not the kind that demands constant affirmation, but the kind that observes, that understands, that responds. But here's the important part. Love at its highest form is reciprocal. If you have a man who listens to you in this way, recognize that he too desires to be heard. Too often, people mistake emotional availability for one-sided openness. A truly deep connection is built when both partners listen, when both feel safe enough to be vulnerable, to share without fear of judgment. So if you have captured his heart, you will know it in the way he listens. And if you wish to keep it, you must listen just as deeply in return. One of the most undeniable signs that you have captured a man's heart is the way he prioritizes your happiness. Not in the superficial sense, where he simply seeks to please you in the moment, but in a deeper, more meaningful way, where your well-being is intertwined with his own. This is not about grand romantic gestures or temporary infatuation. It's about the quiet, consistent choices he makes every day. When a man truly loves you, he doesn't just think about how you fit into his life. He thinks about how he can make your life better. He wants to see you thrive, to see you fulfilled, to see you at peace. And this requires something much more difficult than fleeting affection. It requires commitment, responsibility, and selflessness. And you will notice this in the way he considers you in his decisions. It's easy for a man to say he cares, but when he genuinely loves you, his actions will reflect that care in ways both big and small. He will check in with you before making important life choices because your presence in his world is not an afterthought. It is a fundamental part of how he envisions his future. And more importantly, he will challenge you, not to control you, but to push you toward becoming the best version of yourself. True love is not passive. It is not about indulging every moment of comfort. A man who has given his heart to you will want to see you grow. And sometimes that means holding you accountable, helping you overcome self-doubt, and encouraging you to step outside your limitations. This is where many misunderstand love. It is not just about making you feel good in the present. It is about helping you become stronger, more capable, more resilient for the future. If you have a man who sees your potential and supports it, you are not just loved, you are deeply valued. And that is a rare and precious thing. One of the clearest signs that you have truly captured a man's heart is the way he allows himself to be vulnerable with you. And this is no small thing. Men are not naturally inclined to expose their weaknesses, to reveal the cracks in the armor they have spent years constructing. Society has conditioned them to believe that strength is synonymous with emotional restraint, that to be vulnerable is to be weak. But when a man truly loves you, when he trusts you at the deepest level, he will let you see what others do not. This kind of emotional openness is not simply about sharing past wounds or insecurities. It is about letting you into the parts of his mind that are filled with doubt, fear, and uncertainty. It means he is willing to admit when he doesn't have all the answers, when he is struggling, when he needs support. And that is an incredibly rare thing, because for many men, admitting this is terrifying. It means relinquishing control. It means exposing himself to the possibility of being hurt. But the reason he allows himself to do this with you is because, whether he says it outright or not, he sees you as part of his inner world. He trusts you enough to hold his burdens without using them against him. And this, more than any words of love, reveals the depth of his feelings. A man does not open his heart to just anyone. If he lets you in, if he allows you to see the raw, unfiltered version of himself, then you have reached a place in his life that no one else has. And with that comes an incredible responsibility, not to take that trust for granted, not to weaponize his honesty against him, but to honor it. Because love, real love, is not built on perfection. It is built on the courage to be seen as we are,